a tight corner. They're not able to answer the questions. And I suspect majority of Kenyans who are listening to this news conference right now are looking for a beverage because they've left everybody yawning. Even the statements look poorly done. So in my view, when we expected some heavy dossier, right now there's nothing to write home about.
Okay, let's cross over to the KICC. We can see some bit of activity where at the venue where we expect an address from the Azimio La Umoja One Kenya coalition flag bearer Raila Odinga. Let's just hear what is happening right now. We can see Raila Odinga is present. The venue where we
Members of the Fourth Estate, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. We have a statement that we want to issue today following the general elections that were held in our country on the 9th of this month. Today, I want to address my fellow Kenyans and the international community about the 2022 Kenyan elections and the role of the Independent Election and Boundaries Commission, the IEBC, the body mandated by the Constitution and the law to conduct and manage elections. On August 9th, 2022, millions of Kenyans turned out in large numbers in an attempt to choose their leaders at the national, county, and local levels after long and generally peaceful campaigns. But yesterday, August 15th, our budding democracy suffered a major setback. As a result, Kenya faces a grave legal and political crisis as a result of the actions of Mr. Wafula Chebukati, the chairperson of the IEBC. The Constitution and our laws are clear about how the IEBC should conduct its business. There is no more important role for the IEBC than the conduct, transmission, and tallying of the presidential election. We are painfully aware of the past political biases by the IEBC that plunged this country into its darkest chapter. The terrible memories of the aftermath of the 2007 elections are still fresh in our minds. In 2017, the Supreme Court of Kenya nullified the presidential election again because of the misconduct of the IEBC. What we saw yesterday was a travesty and a blatant disregard of the Constitution and the laws of Kenya by Mr. Chebukati and a minority of IEBC commissioners. The law is clear on the role of the chairperson of the IEBC. The law does not vest in the chairperson the powers of a dictator to rule the IEBC unilaterally. The IEBC is structured as a democratic institution in which decisions must be taken either by consensus or by a vote of the majority. The chairperson and a tiny minority of commissioners have no legal authority to take weighty decisions and proclaim them as the rulings of the IEBC. The law on the IEBC provides that unless a unanimous decision is reached, a decision on any matter before the Commission shall be by a majority of the members present and voting. I want to repeat. Unless a unanimous decision is reached, a decision on any matter before the Commission shall be by a majority of the members present and voting. In addition, the Court of Appeal in the Maina Kiai case ruled, and I quote again, reiterate, as we conclude, that there is no doubt from the architecture of the laws we have considered that the people of Kenya did not intend to vest or concentrate such sweeping and boundless powers in one individual, that is the chairperson of the appellant. That is why I and Azimio La Umoja One Kenya and the nation at large were shocked yesterday to learn that Mr. Chebukati alone decided to pronounce himself on the supposed winner of the 2022 presidential elections. We understand that only Mr. Chebukati alone had access to the tally of the presidential vote. He denied all the commissioners access to that information until he suddenly appeared before the commissioners in the late afternoon to present them with a fait accompli. Barely 2 hours before his announcement, Mr. Chebukati called a meeting of the IEBC and revealed to them the different results he was going to announce. 4 of the 7 protested Mr. Chebukati's actions. But Mr. Chebukati, whose mind appeared made up, did not entertain any discussion of the results, precipitating a walkout by a majority of the commissioners, who promptly denounced the results at a press conference. We know what happened next. A majority of the commissioners walked out and held a press conference where they denounced the results. Our view in Azimio is clear. The figures announced by Mr. Chebukati are null and void. I repeat, the figures announced by Mr. Chebukati are null and void and must be quashed by a court of law. In our view, there is neither a legally and validly declared winner nor a president-elect. Mr. Chebukati's announcement purporting to announce a winner is a nullity. He acted with gross impunity and in total disregard of the Constitution and our laws. He could have plunged our country into chaos had our supporters not exercised great restraint. Such blatant acts of impunity can be a threat to the security of our country. It is not up to us to decide whether Mr. Chebukati has committed an offense. We leave that determination to the appropriate authorities. But for avoidance of doubt, I want to repeat that we totally and without reservations reject the presidential results announced yesterday by Mr. Chebukati. I want to commend our supporters for remaining calm and keeping the peace, and I urge them to continue to do so. Let no one take the law into their own hands. We are pursuing constitutional and lawful channels and processes to invalidate Mr. Chebukati's illegal and unconstitutional pronouncement. We are certain that justice will prevail. I want to further commend the heroism of the 4 commissioners, the majority of the IEBC, who stood up to the bullying and the illegal conduct of Mr. Chebukati. We are proud of them and ask them not to fear anything. Kenyans are with them. Today, I do not want to fully address our strategies going forward, but suffice it to note that we will be pursuing all constitutional and legal options available to us. We will do so because we regard the many flaws in the elections and the wrongs committed by the IEBC as fatal to the process and the outcome announced by Mr. Chebukati. We urge Kenyans and the friends and partners of Kenya abroad to stand tall and be counted as we seek to advance the ideals of democracy and an open society that we have always stood for. We will pursue justice for our supporters and for all Kenyans so that their choices are respected and honored. May God bless you and may God bless Kenya. Nataka kuchukua tena fursa hii kutoa shukrani kwa Kenya wenzangu ambayo wameshiriki katika uchaguzi ambayo imepita. Wameonyesha ujasiri, wameonyesha uzalendo na upendo kwa nchi yao. Wakenya kila mahali walijitokeza wakapiga kura kwa njia ya amani. Na sasa yale ambayo yalibaki ni tume ya uchaguzi kuhakikisha kwamba ile ndoto ya Wanakenya imeheshimiwa. Tumegundua hitilafu ambayo imefanyika katika IEBC ambayo imejaribu kutaka kukiuka yale ambayo Wakenya wenyewe walikuwa wamefanya. Tumeona yale ambayo imefanywa na yule mwenyekiti wa tume ya uchaguzi Bwana Wafula Chebukati kwa kujaribu kupindua ili uamuzi ya Wakenya. Anafanya hivyo bila kushauriana na wale wenzake ambaye wako pale pamoja naye katika tume ya uchaguzi. Sisi wana Kenya na wana Azimio tunapenda amani. Tunapenda umoja wa Kenya. Tunataka kuona kama Wakenya wameungana kama kitu kimoja. Ndio tunaongea juu ya Azimio la umoja. Tuko na nia ya kuona kwamba Kenya imetoka katika janga la ufukara, janga ya kutokuwa na amani, na janga ya ubaguzi ya kikabila, ili Wakenya waungane kama watu moja, waweze kutekeleza wajibu yao kulingana na ndoto ya uanzilishi wa taifa letu. Hatutakubali, nataka kurudia haya, hatutakubali mtu mmoja ajaribu kuleta vurugu katika taifa letu, kujaribu vile vile kubadilisha yale ambayo Wakenya wameamua kama watu moja. Wakenya hawatakubali, hatutakubali. Tutazidi kutetea nchi yetu na katiba letu kama Wakenya ili Kenya iweze kuendelea mbele. Asanteni sana. Mungu ibariki Kenya, nchi yetu.
Niombe sote tusalie tumeketi tunapomruhusu Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga.
Indeed, that is Raila Odinga, the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Alliance Party presidential candidate, breaking his silence and speaking for the first time since yesterday when Wafula Chebukati, who is the presidential election returning officer, made that declaration of winner. And Raila there adding his voice to the dissent of the results as announced. And what he is saying is that the country he is now risking being in a great legal and political crisis following what he says is the conduct of the IEBC chairman Wafula Chebukati, faulting the chairman for saying that only he, Mr. Chebukati, had access to the tally of the presidential vote. And of course, Raila was speaking just a few minutes after the 4 dissenting commissioners came out to elaborate on what they said was opacity at the final phase of tallying the presidential election results. So Raila Odinga there saying that only Chebukati had access to the tally of the presidential vote, and saying that he only presented this final tally to the other commissioners 2 hours before the intended time of declaration yesterday. That was initially to be at 3 p.m. and saying that, because there was no